Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to our webinar today on the Community College Innovation Challenge, why your students should apply. We thank you for taking the time with us today. We have 3 team mentors with us, and they are also in the midst of classes and giving exams. So I will be talking a bit in the beginning to give you some background information on the challenge, and then we will have our mentors join us to share some of the experiences they've had with student teams. All 3 of our mentors today were mentors for the 2025 Community College Innovation Challenge, and Latasha Starr, who will be joining us, has also been a mentor prior. And I think, Nancy, you were as well. So we've got some people who have been repeat mentors throughout the years. We've been running this competition since 2015. So let me start with introductions. I'm Ellen Haas. I'm the Associate Vice President for Academic and Student Affairs with the American Association of Community Colleges. And my associate, Courtney Larson, is also on. She's the ATE Program Manager, and she will be in chat. So please ask any questions, make any comments in chat. Courtney will address those, and we'll also have time to take your questions as well throughout our session today. And it's also my pleasure to welcome our speakers. So PJ Riccotto, who's a professor of chemistry with Bergen Community College, is joining us. He'll be coming on a little bit later, sprinting from class. Latasha Starr, who's our engineering professor with Dallas College, and Nancy Woods, professor of physics and mathematics with Des Moines Area Community College, who's also giving an exam right now. So we're all multitasking, and I think that's part of the process when you're signing on to work with students and mentor them in competitions such as the Community College Innovation Challenge. So I'd like to start by giving you some background on the competition. So the American Association of Community Colleges, in partnership with the National Science Foundation, hosts the challenge. As I mentioned, we have worked with NSF on this competition since 2015. And the CCIC is a competition where teams of 2 to 4 community college students working with a faculty or an administrator team mentor use STEM to innovate solutions to real-world problems that they identify from local to global concern. So the teams apply for the challenge, and we select up to 12 finalist teams to attend an innovation boot camp. That boot camp takes place in June. And at the boot camp, we provide professional development, mentoring, and coaching designed to build strategic communication and entrepreneurship skills to help students advance their innovations in both the public and the private sectors. So students participate in sessions such as commercializing ideas, understanding value proposition, design thinking, customer discovery, refining a pitch, and a lot of focus on communicating with stakeholders. The CCIC is designed to enable students to discover and demonstrate their capacity to use STEM to make a difference in the world and to translate that knowledge into action. So at the boot camp, which takes place June 8th through 11th in Washington, D.C., and we'll give you a timeline of this process shortly, teams have the opportunity to interact with entrepreneurs, experts, and industry professionals, and also network with other community college innovators to make connections and to share ideas. And the boot camp culminates in 2 key events. We have a poster session and reception on Capitol Hill, where students engage with elected representatives, legislative professionals, congressional staffers, and other STEM leaders and stakeholders. And then a final pitch competition along the lines of Shark Tank, where teams present in front of a panel of industry professionals. And it's those 2 events that determine the first, second, and third place winning teams. And this is one of our teams from last year on their way to the student poster session depicted on the slide. We really like to think of the CCIC as providing a friendly and a constructive environment to hone innovation and gain entrepreneurship skills while having the chance to compete for cash awards. And speaking of awards, so there's a lot of reasons to apply to this competition, but in terms of what winners receive, they receive a plaque for all finalist schools, recognition certificates from NSF and AACC for each finalist team member. Importantly, we provide full travel support for all finalist team members and their mentor to attend the Innovation Boot Camp in Washington, D.C. In addition, we issue each team member and faculty mentor a $500 cash honoraria. We realize you're taking time out of your lives to be a finalist team, so we try to offer a little bit of help to offset that. And then the first, second, and third place team members win additional cash awards. So for first place, each team member wins $3,000, for second place, $2,000, and for third place, $1,000 for this competition. Just a few pictures of a little bit of engagement. Some of our teams from last year, getting ready for the poster session, and also sitting at the boot camp. And then here are some of our teams engaging with elected officials. Again, we invite congressional representatives and staffers, so we do have members of Congress come through and engage with the team. So that's some of the pictures depicted here on this slide. So how does the competition work? Just again, to talk about it, we have teams of 2 to 4 students with a faculty and administrator mentor. So each team has one mentor applied to the competition. We do encourage interdisciplinary teams to apply. The solution needs to be STEM-based, but your team members don't all need to be in a STEM program. They don't all need to be engineers or in biotech fields. Some of our most successful teams have been a blend of STEM majors and those working in business and humanities. So we do encourage interdisciplinary teams. So as student teams develop STEM solutions to, again, real world problems that they identify. And as part of the application process, teams will be asked to submit a written entry and a 90-second video that address the problem. So they'll need to identify a problem, give some background and context to that problem, their solution, which they'll need to describe, and particularly the science and the technology that informs it and how it is different and innovative, and the impact and benefits it would have on society and how those would be measured. So we're looking for potential impacts on the economy or national security, environment, quality of life, for example. Mentors will be asked to sign a certificate of authenticity that this is a student's original work. And in addition to the written entry, they will submit a 90-second video to tell a compelling story about how the team's solution is unique or innovative in addressing the problem. I do want to mention that our website, the URL is on the screen, aaccinnovationchallenge.com. And if you go to the resource tab on the site, you'll see links to the last 3 years of each 12 finalist teams and their videos, their application videos. So you can get a really good sense of the innovations that have come before, how those videos have been put together, as well as download our complete competition guidelines. I do want to stress that teams they're not required to have implemented their innovation. We do have some teams that come in and they have prototypes and they're really far along, and we have teams that are in the ideation stage. And this really is an ideation competition. So again, the science and technology behind it has to be justified and feasible, but it doesn't need to be completely implemented in the real world just yet. This competition is really designed to get students to start thinking about themselves as entrepreneurs with a novel invention, creation, or product to bring to the marketplace. So once applications are submitted, they are vetted and evaluated by a panel of AACC and community college STEM experts, using the criteria of looking at innovation and impact, feasibility, and clarity of communication. All of these criteria are outlined again in our guidelines, but for innovation and impact, we're really looking to assess the proposed solution's use of STEM to address a problem and its potential impact to be transformative in areas that I've mentioned, such as the economy, quality of life, and global competitiveness, and how the proposed solution differs from existing efforts in its use of concepts, methods, or technology. I do want to mention this doesn't have to be something completely new that nobody's ever heard of. Certainly when you're identifying a STEM solution to a problem, there can be other products or solutions in the marketplace. We're looking for a team to understand what those are and how what they're doing, whether it builds on those technologies, but how what they're using is novel or different from what is out there. We're also assessing the feasibility of the solution. So looking at the likelihood that the solution will work as presented and it can be replicated, an evaluation of the team's recognition of the potential barriers and suggestions for ways in which those barriers may be addressed. So this is all addressed in the written entry. And then clarity of communication. So we're looking at the team's compliance with the entry guidelines for the written and data entries, including structure, organization of facts and data, and the inclusion of clear and consistent messaging. So from the applications that come in, we select 12 finalist teams, and they attend the Innovation Bootcamp, which is again June 8th through 11th in Washington, D.C. And the expectation is that all finalist team members, including the team mentor, would attend the boot camp, as that is where all the skills development and the networking occurs, as well as our student poster session on Capitol Hill and the final team pitch presentation. I will relay that we have had situations with team mentors where each team has one mentor, but we've had situations where there has been a mentor that has helped the team through but could not travel to the boot camp, so they've designated someone else to travel, and that is acceptable. It's just long as we have one team mentor with each team represented in Washington, D.C., and we're happy to talk with you more about that. And just to give you a sense of the timeline, so the applications are open now on our website. Submissions are due on April 3rd, and our 12 finalist teams will be notified in late April. There is some pre-work, a little bit of pre-work to be done with the teams prior to attending the boot camp that I'm sure our mentors will be happy to talk about how they balance that with their workloads as well. The teams are on an orientation webinar on May 1st. And then on May 8th, they do a customer discovery journey webinar, and they're tasked with doing a few interviews of key stakeholders in preparation for coming to the boot camp. Again, the boot camp itself, June 8th through 11 in Washington, D.C. June 9th, they do the student poster session on Capitol Hill. So they kind of hit the ground running. And then that event really helps them with training prepare for the final pitch presentation, which takes place on June 11th. And it is at the end of that day that we announce the first, second, and third place winning teams. Here's a lovely picture of our cohort from last year at the end of the poster session. So a lot of energy, and I think they're all relieved that it went well as we're cleaning up and leaving Capitol Hill. And I did want to again share our website, aaccinnovationchallenge.com, which has all of this information. This webinar is being recorded. These slides and this recording will be posted to the website following, as well as you can download guidelines and other information. And certainly if your question isn't answered today, or if you come up with a question tomorrow at any time, please feel free to email us at ccic@aacc.nche.edu. With that, I wanted to stop sharing my screen and see if there were, Courtney, any questions at this point, and then I'm going to turn over to have a discussion with our mentors.
There are absolutely no questions at this point, so you did a great job.
We'll take no questions. Okay. Well, I see Nancy and Latasha, thank you. And as I mentioned, PJ will be joining us in a few minutes. But I would love to have each of them introduce themselves, and I will start with Nancy. If you want to introduce yourself, share a little bit about your team's innovation, and then what we'd like to start with is how did you get involved with the CCIC and a student team?
Well, thank you. I'm Nancy Woods. I'm a professor of physics and mathematics here in Central Iowa, and I work with honors students as well. I'm the honors director at my college. How did I find out? One of my passions is offering opportunities to students so that they can like step outside of the typical box, like go to school, took this exam, did this problem, and try to think innovatively. Around Central Iowa, Iowa State University has a lot of innovation challenges. In fact, they actually have an innovation lab that they allow our students to go to. So it's a big deal in Iowa to be thinking about innovation. And the project that we brought last year, in fact, the two projects that we brought, and I hope that this year's project that we hope to win is not going to be an app for a cell phone. Those are always what my students want to do. They want to come up with apps. And they were great projects. The first one was fantastic. And in fact, the the team came back and they didn't pursue it any longer after they came back, like to develop this app. But now there's colleges that are purchasing something similar to the app that my team had discussed. So we keep monitoring that. And then last year, the app that my team developed, they are actively working with Small Business Bureau. They're actively getting it on the market. And so they took their criticisms and suggestions. We did not win first, second, or third place, but it was a fantastic experience, and we learned where the flaws were in what we had envisioned. And so they've come back, and they're going to be rich someday soon. So I just love CCIC. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for students.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And Latasha, I hope you're still on. And if you want to join us now, Latasha's a repeat mentor. So I'd love to hear about your last team and how you got involved with CCIC.
Well, I probably shouldn't do this discussion in my office because students say this is where they can come in and at any time. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk to you about what happened today.
We
Okay, cool.
understand.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Hey, Nancy. Good to see you again. See, this is great friendships that we developed
You're so
as
beautiful.
part of, you're wonderful. Okay, that's a whole separate webinar. Okay, they're recording, so we have to stay on task. But I will say thank you to everyone for having us here. How did I get involved? Okay, so funny story. So let's go back to 2024. I had already had a separate encounter, lovely encounter with AACC as part of their ATE conference. And I had been invited to be a speaker from Dallas College and presenter at the conference. So then I just got like inherited and adopted by Ellen and Courtney. And it's like, now you're on the distribution, so you'll get everything. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I just signed up for a conference, but let's see what else comes out of this, right? So you just start getting all these wonderful emails about all the other things that the AACC does, right? Things I had never heard of, things that Dallas College had never participated in before. And one day I got an email saying, CCIC, applications open. Well, what is CCIC? What's going on? I have no idea. So I started asking around. And everyone's like, we don't know. So I'm like, has Dallas College ever participated in CCIC? No. We okay, so this is our year. So 2024, I was like, and for my students, it's not optional to come up with an idea. Now, I know there's limits on how many ideas we can submit to CCIC, but as part of my class, I'm an engineering professor for Dallas College, and that is part of my curriculum to add in this innovation challenge to my curriculum. So it's very fun because it's on the syllabus. Like, they know that they have to create an invention, and so that's why we have so many available submissions. And so because I really believe fundamentally that we are all innovative in some way. It just takes a professor, an honors director, and a professor in physics. It takes somebody to just pull it out. And the CCIC gives us a chance to do that. It gives us a chance to pull it out. And I'm like, all right, show me your invention. It's due in a week. Let's go. Here's the format. Let's go. And so from there, I mean, I'm not surprised. I knew you were innovative, but the students are just like, did this come from my team? I'm like, yeah, you actually solved like an actual problem. So let's now submit it to officially. And so we picked the top 3 or so to go, be submitted. And in 2024, our team who developed a drone to help fight wildfires, to work right alongside firefighters and even go into some areas that they can and provide reconnaissance and situational awareness and communication. Second place right out the gate. What? Okay. And then we're like, well, let's do it again. So then, we apply for 2025. Fascinating students decided to come up with this. I mean, again, just taking real world scenarios, they decided to come up with a sensor package for aircraft in light of the tragic crash that happened over the Potomac. And so that motivated them. And it's the empathy that these engineers have. Yes, engineers can be empathetic. And I love bringing that out of them, right? I love bringing in the personality and the things that drive them to care and to have true impact. Come on in, come on, just stand here. And so that really motivated them to come up with that wonderful project and innovation to create a stencil package, and that won third place last year. So 2026, let's go for three-peat. I feel like Jordan or whoever, goes for three-peats. And I'm like, let's go for it again. And we're going to try again. So one of these students who just locked in will be submitting a proposal, fingers crossed, and we will see what happens. But that's how I got involved, and it's a pleasure to do it every year. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Oh, that's awesome. I'll let you address your student's question. I'll go to Nancy. And I think Latasha touched on a lot of this, why mentor? Because she's talking about how you can get students to think about themselves as entrepreneurs. They learn, so many skills. But I guess, as we're thinking about one of the things, I'm sure people, I think those that are on this call, they've got an interest, they understand the why mentor, but I guess it's why mentor and how do you work that into your schedule? Because I'm sure that's a top of mind for people, is thinking about, how do I make this work on top of everything else I've got going on?
Well, that's pretty easy. I'm not doing anything at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I might as well help some students. No, Latasha and I have similar energies. I feel like that we just want to help our students. That's it. We just want our students to be successful. We want to show them their own potential. We want to show them what they can do. There's the only thing that the mentors do is kind of provide guidance, right? The students come up with these innovations, and I always think, wow, I never thought of that. But my only prompt to students is, hard is easy. Like, doing hard things is actually pretty easy, but the simple things is what is difficult. So find a simple thing and let's try to fix that, and we just work together. I was pretty excited last year because we're a 6-campus college, and all 3 of the group members were on different campuses. So that actually made it nice for me because I didn't have to go to a campus. We had to do Zoom meetings, and we had to assign responsibilities, and we had to see each other in that capacity. And it's just really exciting. We had such a wild group, I felt like, last year. One was this outspoken person, and one was the technical person, and one was the business person. And so, you just bring this diverse group of students together and let them do their thing. That's it.
Thank you. Latasha, I don't know if you had a chance to hear what we were asking, like, how do you work it in your schedule? And maybe expand on that in terms of what people can expect a little bit in terms of preparing teams for the boot camp, because there's the application, and then if you get selected as a finalist, there's a little bit more preparation.
Yeah.
Just so, and why, and that it's all very rewarding.
Yes.
It's a commitment for sure, which is why we're a family. You'll never get rid of me because you've taken all my time, which I love. So how do I fit into my schedule? I mean, it's what I do. I feel like, Nancy was saying, and this energy, I mean, that's a whole thing. So I feel like it's just what we do as professors. Like, it's natural. I mean, you do have to sacrifice some time, but if you're really in professorship to create the next generation of leaders and those change agents, this fits right along with that, right? So you're like, okay, I have to stay a little longer, a couple days a week. I have to answer a few emails, or I have to jump on a few more Zooms, but it all connects to what I feel is our purpose as professors. And we've just been looking for opportunities to showcase that. And thankfully, because of CCIC, we have that avenue at the community college level, which never happens, almost never happens. So the fact that we have an opportunity to prepare them now, they don't have to wait until they get to university to then do big things and get the big spotlight. It's like, no, you are engineer today. Like, we're not waiting until we transfer or whatever that is. You are an engineer right now, and this opportunity is here right now. So let's maximize the moment. And if I'm not helping you do that, then what am I doing as a professor? So I make the time. It's part of my schedule. It's part of who I am. And I'm just happy to do it every time. And I look forward to do it every time. So thank you again for giving us a chance to be the professors that we've always wanted to be. So thank you.
Thank you. And PJ, thank you for joining us. We were saying how, Nancy's doing an exam, Latasha's got open office hours, that this is how we're making it all work, right? And I know you just came from class. It'd be wonderful if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and just sharing how you became involved in the CCIC and why you feel it was important to mentor.
Okay, so firstly, I just want to make sure my sound is on because I haven't even been able to check it. So we're good.
You
Thank you. So
are.
I usually I have enough time to do that. So my name is PJ Ricardo. I am a chemistry professor at Bergen Community College, which is in beautiful Paramus, New Jersey, where we have a nice lingering foot of snow on the ground. So it refuses to melt. I have participated in CCIC personally twice. And my college, I believe, has participated the last 5 or 6 years, something like that. So we haven't always made it to the finals. One year we were in the initial round. But in many of the other years, we were lucky enough to be able to go to Washington. And it's been a fantastic experience. For the 3 different mentors from our school who've been able to take students. What I think, a couple of things really stand out to me. One is the way that you guys treat us. Of all the different conferences, the attention to detail and the way you treat the students like they're professors or really like they're the celebrities. It's just amazing. It's for just from that aspect of the the way the whole week goes. It's just a wonderful, easy experience. The paperwork is minimal compared to other things that you have to do. You guys do so much of it for us. Courtney's is just, I'm sure other people have mentioned what a wonderful job.
She's
so
a rock star.
professors out there, logistically, it is not a nightmare. It's not like your other conferences that it takes forever for your college to pay you back. These folks do it right. So that's, at least I see Letitia smiling because we're all in the same, and Nancy as well. We really get treated very well. From the point of view of the week, the interaction with the mentors or the coaches, I should say, is transformative for the students and has always been for me. The change in the presentation of my students from when they first time out of their mouth to by the time they're up on the stage on that last day, it's just unbelievable. And I think the difference between the folks who really do well is the student's ability to adjust based on the coach's recommendations. Sometimes you really kind of get stuck in your own little zone and you like the way it sounds. I found that the groups that really did well, that changed over the course of the week, were the ones that listened to Joe and took that under advisement and really changed their presentation on the fly based on those comments. So that's a learning experience for students right there. Other thing I'd love to say about CCIC from the whole process is what I love best about it is, some people say it's Shark Tank or something like that, but it's not really, because it's basically Shark Tank with where the social impact matters. And the projects that rise to the top aren't just the ones that could potentially be profitable. They have to make a societal impact. And I think the judges, first and foremost, that's in their mind. So if your project is something along that, this competition is for you. So those are my initial comments. I didn't get to hear Nancy and Letitia, so I'm not sure what they say. So I don't want to repeat what they said, because I'm sure we're 3 people who think alike.
Thank you for that. And actually, this is a good segue, and I'll go to Latasha. We were talking to talk about the boot camp itself. And if you want to share some of the impacts to your students personally and professionally. So PJ mentioned, yes, there's a lot of sessions, but they also are assigned communications coaches, and they get 2, and they have chances to run through their pitch. And so we see that a lot. But if you want to share any big takeaways for you in terms of personal or professional impacts to students.
Yeah, thanks. Great question. Like PJ said, don't call it Shark Tank, call it a boot camp, because it is a boot camp. I mean, Ellen's a sergeant and Courtney is, first general. It's like they need that discipline and structure, but they need that intense focus, right? Because what you're doing is you're taking a lot of technical students and you're turning them into entrepreneurs in like a week or less than a week. Well, like you said, the second night, like it's like, let's go to Capitol Hill. So they have to have that intense focus where this is all they do and this is what they're doing. I mean, it's a little fun in the evenings, but we need you to lock in because you have an opportunity to pretty much change your entire trajectory and apply for patents and take that money and you have an opportunity to bring prestige to your school or additional prestige through your innovative ideas, through your social impact. You have the opportunity to do things that only 12 colleges were invited to do that year. So, I mean, think about it that way. So we need that intense focus. It is truly a boot camp. They feed you well. If you have a gluten allergy, they will take care of you. I can attest to that. So, I mean, but the care is there, but also the structure and the discipline to transform within literally a few days. It's like, whose students are those? My students? Okay, that's sweet. I mean, it's just great because they are literally going from timid, maybe less confident, but technically sound engineers and innovators to full-fledged, like, this is my story. You need to hear it. This is why it matters. And this invention is going to change the world. And to see that transformation is firsthand is just remarkable. So it is intense, but it's also impactful. And I'll take that intensity for impact every time. And that's what keeps me coming back year after year. So
that's awesome. I don't know, Nancy, did you want to add anything to that in terms of personal or professional impacts to your students? Oh, I just saw her. Oh, okay. Nancy, did you want to add and share any personal or professional impacts to students from the boot camp? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, Nancy, you're on mute.
I'm
There we
sorry,
go.
I was just getting my exams together here. Students
Oh, no.
This
is how we all make it work, right?
Exactly. I just really loved the passion that the students learn to bring out. And they all have their own strengths. And so there's going to be like the one who pushes others to practice public speaking even, right? And then there's going to be one that says your grammar's off, or one that's, really technically informed. And they each get to learn the other person's area of expertise. So they're all expected to be able to know, even like a business major, to know the fundamentals of this innovation. And the engineer is expected to be able to talk about it, like in plain language as well, right? To explain to other people. And that's a class in its own right there. Like those soft skills, what people call soft skills of like communicating, is a huge advantage. Such a learning curve. And I'm sorry, I was just thinking about our experience last year. Boy, we did a lot of practicing late night, a lot of practicing that speech, a lot of practicing and using the coaches. I think the thing I learned, and I'm just so jealous that Latasha's had such good outcomes. I'm very competitive. I want my students to do well.
Well, one of your students is currently at Tech Connect and will be in a couple weeks doing another innovation challenge. So they let, even if you don't win the top 3, the skills and
they've
what
taken
you get,
advantage.
Yes.
Yeah, they really took advantage of the resources, and I love that. I just think that we need to listen better during the workshops. That's what my team needs to do. We need to really take it to heart and really like, okay, so someone's telling me I need a tagline, right? And don't AI search it. Don't, let's find the one that's perfect for us. So I think that's how we're going to be more successful this year. How's that for speaking positive about the DMAC team?
Sounds good. Let's see. So, TJ, I'd like to pivot back to you for a second and then talk about, your role as a mentor at the boot camp and how it impacted you, because obviously there are huge impacts to students, but a lot of the mentors find it transformational as well. We do a little bit of programming for mentors. You have the opportunity to interact with NSF. We bring in someone from the Patent and Trademark Office. And then it is a network, a peer network with other mentors that you develop as well. So I didn't know if you wanted to expand on, how this is for the mentor to attend.
Mhm. So I would say that at the workshop that we're kept busy, but not too busy, and certainly not as busy as the students. So there is a fair amount of time to meet the other 12 mentors. And that in itself, you now have connections around the country. And everybody is truly pulling for all of the students to do well. I don't know if you guys told the story about the student who wound up on his own last year.
No,
But
and that
it,
was an anomaly, but yes,
yeah,
I did not tell that story. No, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, but so all of the students, every time he got up there, because he didn't have anybody he got a standing ovation no matter what. He did a wonderful job. So there, it's competitive, but it's not. It's all in a very positive sense. You really are pulling for all of the students to do well, and they really do. So I would say it's a great experience from meeting you guys, meeting the other mentors. The folks who have done it more than once are more than willing to give uh, guidance to the mentors who were there for the first time. That's definitely for sure. And all of the ringers, like some of you folks are super successful. They've been going back every year. It's wonderful. They're very, very helpful to the people who are there for the first time. So you can really feel free to touch base with the other mentors during the week and get advice. It's so positive.
Thank you. Nancy, did you want to add anything
I
to
was
that?
just going to say, I really echo that. I mean, you could, one of my team members actually got teary during her presentation because it was so personal to her. And you could just see the crowd just like empathizing with her, right? Everyone around, very supportive. Everyone is very supportive. And it is a boot camp, that's for sure. You just learn everybody and you learn who they are, where they are, just do it. I have actually had 3 students from across the country send me messages after that, like asking for advice on scholarships and something like that. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, and they stay connected through LinkedIn. So I always get like 50 LinkedIn after, and we're happy to have it and to follow up and see where they've taken their innovations. That's how I knew one of your students was presenting in a couple weeks, as we follow them and watch their progress. Latasha, anything you wanted to add to that, or another way that not just the mentor experience, but that students leverage this experience? Certainly, we've had teams that have gone as far as to get a provisional patent, are working on working prototypes. Some take those innovations further, some leave them. But I think what I want to impart, and maybe you have something to say on this when you're talking about your teams, is that the skills development still transcends the actual whether or not that innovation went further. Certainly, it's amazing if that does, and we do have examples of that happening. But just so so people know that there's, even if you're not 1, 2, or 3, you're taking something away from this competition.
Absolutely. I would say one of the biggest indicators of the success that this program has, I just want to do an experiment. I'm like a design of experiment here. So if I had a research hypothesis, research question number 1, what does the resume of these students look like before they applied to CCIC? And what does their resume look like after? Just the fact that, because some of our students, they just have a name, phone number, and then coursework. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to work on that. But the fact that they've gone through CCIC, it's like presented on Capitol Hill, it's like connected and collaborated with students across, the country, on a innovation project. And then it's like, okay, not only that, it's just like, well, even if they didn't place one of 12, even if they didn't place in the top 3, one of 12 in the entire country, like the resume just goes off the chain just because of this experience. And then not to mention letters of recommendation, as Nancy mentioned, or advice, but also just to be associated with as a finalist for NSF. You know, it's just those words. And so now students were like, oh, I got a call back from an internship that I applied for, or I got selected for, this, membership to a particular like, society or club, and just whatever they were able to do because of those words on their resume. I just find that so life changing, like immediately. Or they were able to put it on their LinkedIn profile. So now they have more hits, or they can tag people that they weren't able to tag before because they didn't know them. And so now your network expands day one. And the last thing I'll say too is like, it's interesting because we're like basically in a small space the whole time, but I think that's by design. My husband's a psychiatrist, so I think I've talked to him about this. The fact that Nancy and PJ were saying we're so connected, I think because we're like together.
Trapped.
We give you a lot of time together, and we mix
A
up the
lot.
teams, and then we give you time with your teams. It's all by design. Yes.
So of course we're just crying and hugging at the end. It's like, is this a family reunion? What is going on? But I think it's purposeful because again, a lot of times it takes them out of their element from normal day to day, where it's just like, okay, coursework, software, programming, all this, but it's like people. So it goes from the product to now product and people. And when you add the people aspect to it, you can see these students in a whole different light. And then they begin to experience and feel things and connect in ways that they never have. And that changes them for a lifetime. So I can't wait. I mean, I'm participating, so I can't review. But one day when I say I'm leaving my post as a mentor, I may want to be the reviewer because I just can't.
And we
I
have
can't
done
wait to
that.
hear.
We have
Yes, I
asked
can't.
people to review. Yep.
Yes, because I can't wait to hear not only the technical innovations, but hear the stories that are connected to them, and then just follow those students as they go. So I'm very excited. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
If you don't mind, Ellen, I wanted
Sure.
to mention the confidence that students have when they come back. Two of the three that participated last year went to different competitions around the state of Iowa, and they both run winning teams then because they had, that kind of experience of stand and present and talk and verbalize and articulate and think through the process. So student confidence is a huge builder there.
And that's something we see in the evaluations from the students as well.
They grow in the sense that when they come back, they're so much more willing to say yes. Like, in other words, anytime an opportunity comes up, now they're the first hand up, whereas before they were like, oh, should I do it? Should I do it? Now they become the yes group. They're going to say yes to every internship opportunity, everything, because they realize they count. So once you do the first one, it's addicting.
That's awesome. Courtney, I'm going to ask, I will encourage anyone who's on, if you've got questions, please put them into chat. And Courtney, I don't know if there have been any questions thus far.
There hasn't been a lot of questions. There was one question about how many submissions each college is allowed to do.
They can submit 3. Up to 3, but there's the caveat that because a lot of colleges will put forward one good team, and that's great. If you put forward 3, we will consider them, but only 1 would go to the be among the finalists. So a college can't be represented twice among the 12 finalists. You couldn't have 2 teams. You'd only have 1 team in the finals. So you are kind of in competition with yourselves as well, but we will accept up to 3 applications per college if a college has more than 1 team to put forward.
Great.
And anything else?
Not really, no.
Not really. Well, that's good or bad. I think we're just so compelling, right?
That's right.
I will say, just to clarify a few things on the application, that is where the science and the technology is vetted. And what a lot of these STEM students, and maybe you all can speak to this as well, when they get to the competition, there's a little bit of a culture shift because this is not a STEM competition once you're there. The STEM has been vetted. We've determined it's feasible. It's not science fiction. It's something that could work in the real world. And now you're learning how to communicate that. You're learning about the business and the entrepreneurial side of it, how to determine your value proposition, how to to communicate with stakeholders. And it really is, in a lot of ways, a culture shift for students that have been in the lab or been in the maker space, and now they're having to translate their ideas. So I didn't know if PJ, Nancy, or Latasha, anybody just wanted to speak to that and how you prepare your students for that shift.
Yeah, I'll speak to it for sure. So I think the best way that I prepare my students for the shift is to basically remind them that that this is their moment. And I don't want to add undue stress or undue cognitive load, but at the same time, it's preparation for the real world. What did we do all of this technical innovation for if we're not able to communicate it to the world? Did we, do we have all this great idea just to hide it? So naturally, I try to prepare them by letting them know and reminding them this is a natural next step. Once you do something as great as you've done, this is part of the confidence building here. Psych them up. But no, seriously, these are great things. But once you've done something as great as you've done, it's time to tell the world. And thank God there's a platform to do it. This is your moment. This is what you did all of that work for. And then that kind of hypes them up to say, yeah, I don't want to hide it. I want to show it off. And CCIC is the best place to do that. And so then they start to get more into, well, I better prepare. What am I going to say? How am I going to look? Are we going to have a team? Because Dallas College, we come the same clothes every time. Like, hey, we're all wearing the same thing, because we are a team and it's our time. We have one shot to show the world what we're doing in this great city of Dallas. And so to take that on is almost like, a little bit of a hero mentality, but at the same time, it's necessary, because if we don't do it, we don't have that mindset, then everything we've done to date is almost in vain. So that's kind of how I prepare now, like psych them up, like let's go. And they tend to be very disciplined and hype at the same time, which is a very interesting connection. But as engineers, one thing I do remind them, sometimes we're so robotic. And all of my students are engineers. So I don't have business students. I don't have, they're all engineers. So I think that's the biggest obstacle that Dallas College has had to overcome, of just not being so engineering. And even, I don't know how to do that. We're still figuring that out. But thank God the boot camp is there to help try to pull some of that other side of us out. And again, give us something different than the typical run of the mill that we see every day. And that's really making holistic students even better. It is kind of really saying you're more than just the technology. You are a change agent. And with that type of mentality, they really can go far, and they have.
Just to add to that, I thought that the customer discovery, I think that's what it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the customer discovery that the students have to do in the weeks leading up to going helps them make the transition from being like in this bubble of it's so great, oh my God, we got the greatest thing in the world, to have to already start listening to some feedback that might not be 100% when the person who you're talking to doesn't understand what you're trying to do. That's a good moment, to realize, oh, wait a minute, it's obvious to me because I've been working on it. So that helped. So and even the fact that you've got to reach out to X number of people. That's a first for the students, cold calling people in the industry. And, so that those exercises help when you get there, having done that the week or two before.
Awesome. And I will mention that this boot camp is based on NSF's Innovation I-Corps I-Corps program, which is designed to take the scientists and the engineers and have them translate what they're doing out of the lab into the marketplace. So it is built on an established NSF program. It's kind of a mini I-Corps, and we've adapted it. I like hearing change agent and how we prepare them. And yes, some of what we do in customer discovery is already, they learn from that first orientation webinar. This is not where I'm going to learn how to shore up the STEM. We're taking that, you may figure that out, but it's really communicating about the STEM and its impact is a big piece of this. I guess, Courtney, I'll ask if there are any more questions. If not, I'm going to move to my final question.
Well, there was just a question about elaborating on what the customer discovery portion entailed.
And I don't know if Nancy or Latasha, you want to add on this, but we do a webinar on the front end. So they have about a 90-minute instruction on what customer discovery is. And then they're tasked with doing 3 to 5 interviews of stakeholders. And that is really not to share what they're doing, but to hear from the customer, potential customer, if you will, or stakeholder. You want to hear their pain points. You want to hear what their needs are. And before you're not talking about what you have, you're really listening. So you're taking all of that feedback into what it is you're doing. But Latasha or Nancy or PJ, did anybody want to talk about a little bit about that process, because it really does help them inform. They start to hear what people have to say, and then they start to think, wait, maybe the way I have this laid out isn't so the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm sorry, go ahead, Latasha.
Okay. No, really quick. Everything you said, Ellen, is accurate. I think what it does, customer discovery, just really makes them consider the target audience, and it also allows them to walk in the customer's shoes. And it's not just would I use this, but how I would use this, when I would use this, if I would even use it, and then how much would I be willing to pay for it? Is it really that necessary, and does it really change how I do things now? And if those, like PJ said, those answers can come back and make you question your entire life. So I love how we just put that right up front, and then it either solidifies their original thoughts or it causes them to pivot, which is what innovators do anyway. So it's a perfect time for that.
I think the customer discovery gives them just a deeper insight outside of themselves. You get so tunnel vision, like this is going to work, this is going to work, this is going to work. But then you get someone out there saying, yeah, I'd never use that. Well, what would make you want to do something? And you really want to like discover other people's thinking and incorporate that into your design. One of the things like we learned last year is my group was bent to make a prototype. Man, we're going to make a prototype. We're going to bring it. It's not necessary. In fact, there's no place in the boot camp that you can actually like show it. I mean, it could be at your table and you might talk to someone, but it's just not necessary to worry. So that was time wasted for our group. Like, we're going to put all this stuff together. So.
And Courtney, I did see that question in chat about, do I have to cater to a pre-selected group of stakeholders? No. You're identifying a problem, and I think some of what you've heard is sometimes they're very personal problems. They're things that people have very close ties to, but you're identifying a problem, your team is, and then you're identifying a STEM-based solution to address that problem. And then part of this process is understanding who those stakeholders are, what role they would play, and who your key audiences are. So that's part of the learning of the boot camp. So, I mean, I would be focused on what is the problem and what is the solution, and that, and, for the rest of this are pieces that you get through the boot camp. From there, let's see. Let's go. I guess we've got about 5 minutes left. So I did want to get to, my closing question, which is, and I'll start with you, PJ, is what one piece of advice or guidance do you have to people who are on the call today to encourage them to assemble teams to apply for CCIC? Knowing sometimes the students come to you, sometimes you may be the one doing the encouraging, but what one piece of advice or guidance could you relay?
Well, in terms of the testimonial to why you should do it is all of us who've participated once keep coming back. So,
true.
so it's got to be something there to it that is very few people. It's one and done. We're making a collection, right, of schools that participate. So once your school gets involved, beware, you're going to stay involved. And that's the wonderful thing. We're just adding more schools. That's why we're up to 60. So that's one thing. And I guess what I originally started with was that what makes it a special competition is the fact that you're looking for a solution to a problem that affects large amounts of people in society. And that's unusual in these competitions as far as I can tell. And so you're key group. Obviously, you can only bring one mentor down to Washington, but your group could include, a sociologist or someone, a psychologist, someone from a different part of your campus. And obviously, the students can come from any major or any. There's no limitation on that. So, that's kind of what makes it special is the broad, the diversity of the backgrounds of the students and their majors is pretty amazing. From business to we have students in the health professions that Nancy had. To the traditional more science and engineering. So I would say those are the things that make it special.
Thank you. And Nancy, did you want to share any guidance or advice? Encouraging people to get a team together.
My advice is, why are you not doing this? Just the experience of using your brain to find a solution to the problems of today is going to be beneficial. And so, like Latasha said, your resume is going to increase whether or not you're even selected. I mean, you could use that as, I submitted something for this competition and I really thought it was great. Sorry, they didn't, but I did, even if they didn't get selected. It's such I always tell my students this, and so I'll stop with this. It's weird to go to school and learn something, so they're gonna participate in this and actually really learn valuable skills, valuable knowledge, valuable transformations of their own lives. So that's why they should do it.
Thank you. And Latasha, we'll have you close this out here.
Okay, I'll be on my best behavior. No, I did have a question. I wanted to know, is there a boot camp for professors? I mean, because, we have the research grants and stuff, but I'm all about within a short period of time, let's just chalk something out real quick. But all right, since that question's not going to get answered today, what I will say is that do it afraid, do it unsure, do it, but just do it. I mean, you may not, just speaking from experience, there was literally no one at Dallas College who had participated before. No one. And here we are trying to go for, 3-peat. So it starts somewhere, might as well be with you. Even if a team have already participated from your institution, maybe there's something new you can bring to this opportunity. So just go for it. And then keep encouraging the students to go for it. If you have to make an assignment, if you have to put posters out, they don't know what they don't know, right? They don't know how much is inside of them. They don't know all the things that they're capable of. And that's why we're here to guide. It's kind of interesting at my kids' school. They're like, we're not teachers, we're guides. I'm like, okay. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I'm a guide too. I'm guiding you toward something that you may have been afraid of, overlooked, or not have considered for you. And that imposter syndrome has to go. It is your time. And why wait? So do it afraid, do it now.
Awesome. Thank you. And I will say, Courtney just posted in the chat, if you have students that are interested in this competition, we have a webinar that's focused on them, though you're welcome to join that as well, where we actually allow them to vet their ideas so they can put an idea in. And we have a former judge, a program officer from NSF, and a former student finalist, where they will engage with you on those ideas, as well as give some background on the competition, so you hear some slightly different perspectives. But with that, I know we are at time. If you have additional questions, please feel free to email us at ccic@aacc.nche.edu. Courtney is awesome. She'll be in there responding right away. I'm happy to as well. And a huge thank you to our mentors, not only for participating today amid your busy schedules, but for your continuous support of students. And thank all of you for joining and for your interest in this competition. And we hope to see your applications with your teams by April 3rd. Thank you all, and take care.
Thank you, Ellen.
Alrighty,
Thank you, bye.